I know you've seen the ads on Facebook. Well, I have. Write your book in 3 months. Write your book in a month. Finish your book in 6 months. And today, you see this post from me that says, hey, write your book in 90 days. The difference is I'm going to be right there with you. Hi, writer. I know you're serious about writing your book. That's why you want to hear about how you can write your book in 90 days. So I'm going to talk to you today about this Write Your Book in 90 Days intensive that I will be starting on September 1st of 2022. So if it's 2025 and you found this video, I'm sorry, but you missed the cutoff for this intensive with me. But if you're watching it on my regularly scheduled release day, then you've got a few weeks to figure out if you really are committed to writing your book. So why would you want to write your book with me? Well, there's 3 reasons that I can give you. And so let's get to those. So first off, accountability. I have a group of coaches, other Hope Writers certified coaches like myself, and we meet twice a month and talk about whatever coaching struggles we're having, ask questions. We're just there to support each other in our coaching journey. And in a recent call, they were talking about how their clients are making all these gains because they've actually sat down and figured out an action plan and figured out how to reach it. And they know that during their next session, the coach is going to say, so tell me about how your action plan went. Usually when I'm playing it, I say, last time we met, you said you made an action plan of blah, 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 blah. So tell me about how that went. So they know they're going to be accountable. And because of that, they don't want to have to say, well, I kind of flaked out on it. Okay, so during these 90 days from September 1st through November 30th, you will have accountability, daily accountability to show up and write your book because that's what you're committing to do. Number 2, brainstorming. Writing, solitary journey. It's my story, it's your story. No one else can tell it the way I can. We've heard all these things. But sometimes we just go, oh, what should happen next? Okay, I know that eventually this has to happen, but what should happen now? Or I don't know how to make it so that they are thrown together at this certain thing. Brainstorming. Brainstorming is amazing. And if you put a group of writers in a room together and you start asking, well, I'm trying to figure out how to blah, 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 you will get so many ideas that one of them will stick. So another thing you're going to get is whatever kind of brainstorming help you need, okay? That you will get. Brain power, my friend. There's no reason not to be able to write your book in 90 days if you can tap into my brain power and the brain power of every other writer committed to do the same thing. So the third thing you're going to get is lessons from someone who's done this multiple times. In fact, most of the books I've written, I wrote in less than 90 days. Of course, a lot of those were novellas, 40,000 words or less. So not too difficult to write those in less than 90 days, for me anyway. Remember, I write 1,000, 1,200 words per hour when I sit down and write. So that if I sit down and write 5 days a week, then that's going to turn out a lot more words than someone who has Saturdays and Sundays. A couple hours those days is all the time they have to write, okay? Because they have a job that they work 40 hours a week, they have a family, they have whatever your commitments are, okay? So let me tell you about these lessons. So in week 1, we're going to talk about how to plan your book. We're going to talk about how to get ideas or how to generate ideas too, but I'm hoping you have an idea when you come to the story. So how do you plan it? I'll be talking about the character SEQ and beat sheets, which is the way I plan my stories. So at the end of each weekly lesson call, It's a live Zoom that I'm inviting you to, that you have the link to. There'll be question and answer time where you can ask anything at all about your book, the writing process, whatever it is, okay? Week 2, we're gonna brainstorm. Maybe you got stuck planning and you want to brainstorm. You have some questions about how to identify your character's lie, or how to figure out what the dark moment story is, or whatever. Okay, so we're going to brainstorm. So the lesson I will teach will be about how I brainstorm. Okay, and that week's probably going to have a bigger question and answer period. Week 3, we'll talk about how to start your story, what the hook should be like, what a hook is, what it should be like, and the first plot point of your story, which happens at about between 15 and 25% of the way into your story. Your first plot point happens. And yes, all of the people who just rolled their eyes because they hate story structure, you can have it happen earlier or later. I'll just teach it the way that I learn it. I'm not the person who is like, holds it to it. I counted the words and you made this happen at 12%. So you need to fix that. Not me. Week 4, we'll talk about any other plot problems that you're running into. So I'll talk about plot problems I went into, the type of things that stall me, that make me stop wanting to write. And some of these could be mindset issues. So those will be the things that lesson will be like. Then we'll talk about the second act. What is the second act? What's supposed to happen in the second act? What does that story plot look like? Then I'll explain the midpoint the next week. The 3 or 4 different things that could, one of which should happen at the midpoint. You choose. It varies a little by genre. Then the next week we'll talk about the muddy middle. Okay, so many writers get bogged down in the middle and they quit because it's too hard, because they don't know where to go next. And maybe they have a really interesting idea that's like singing a siren song to them. So they drop it. This old idea that they, wrote 40,000 words to, but it's only halfway done, and go to the siren song. You'll never finish a book unless you finish a book. So then week 8, we'll talk about the dark night of the soul, which happens right before the 3rd plot point. We'll have a question and answer time about any plot problems you have. I'll talk about character epiphany, and then the final plot point, okay, on the ensuing weeks. And then we'll talk about character change and what readers expect for an ending. Which varies by genre widely. So that's why it'll be important for you to understand what genre your novel's going to fit into and what those expectations for that genre are. And then in the last week, we'll talk about finishing up, how to finish, and what the next steps are. Now that we finished our book, now what? Because writing the end is amazing and awesome and excellent, but your book's not done when you write the end, because there's the whole revision process that has to come after that. But we're not concerned about that in this 90 days. We are only concerned about getting the first draft finished. So if that sounds like something you want to do, I've got some more information and a link to register, even though it's a couple weeks out, down below. Yes, it's not a free intensive. My teaching time is valuable. I give it away here free on YouTube. But since you're going to actually have direct access to ask me questions, not going to be free, but $1.66 a day. That's about what it works out to. Unless you want to upgrade and add on some personal one-on-one coaching sessions with me, then it'll be a little more. So get the information down below. You'll see those links. And next week, if you have questions, you can drop them in the comments. I may or may not answer them there. If I think there's something that others will be interested in, I will answer them next week, because I'm going to do a live question and answer at 11 a.m. Pacific time right here next Tuesday. So if you want to finish your book, come along, write your book with me, because I'll be writing my book starting September 1st. And I would love for you to join me by writing yours.